My name is Sarah, and I'm 29 years old. My mother spent 15 years calling me a failure while praising my brother at every family dinner. She had no idea I was secretly running an $18 million empire. But when she demanded I drop everything to cater my brother's party to impress a celebrity chef, she made the biggest mistake of her life. Because that chef was already working with me. And what happened next destroyed my family's reputation in front of everyone they knew. The look on my mother's face when the truth came out was something I'll never forget. Before I tell you how it all went down, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment with where you're watching from, because this story gets crazy. Let me take you back to the beginning. My parents are Boston old money. Dad runs a private equity firm. Mom sits on charity boards. They live in a $4 million brownstone, belong to the country club, vacation in the Hamptons. Growing up, the pattern was brutal. When my brother Daniel got accepted to Northeastern, Dad threw a garden party for 80 people. When I got into Boston University with a full academic scholarship, they took me to Olive Garden. When Daniel landed his first analyst job making $60,000 a year, Mom sent announcements to everyone they knew. When I started my catering business at 22, she told her friends I was still figuring things out. At Daniel's promotion dinner 2 years ago, Mom spent 20 minutes bragging about his $90,000 salary. That same night, she asked if I was still playing with food. At family gatherings, she'd guide important guests toward Daniel. I'd be in the kitchen, where daughters apparently belonged. Christmas 2 years ago, Daniel got a $10,000 Rolex. I got a KitchenAid mixer, which Mom said was practical for your little hobby. I'm not exaggerating when I say I felt completely invisible unless they needed something, which was about to become painfully ironic. 3 months ago, I was prepping for the biggest week of my career when Mom called. She was frantic. Daniel proposed to his girlfriend Madison, and they planned an engagement party for 75 people in 5 days. She'd hired some celebrity caterer months ago, but he just canceled. Then she dropped the bomb. Richard Morrison, the James Beard award-winning chef and restaurant mogul, was Madison's godfather and flying in from New York specifically for this party. Mom needed me to cater it. Not asking, telling. When I tried to explain I had something important that week, she actually laughed. More important than your brother's engagement? What could you possibly have going on? Just make some of those little appetizers you do. Here's what Mom didn't know. My little catering hobby was actually Morrison Catering Group, a company I'd built over 7 years into a 15-location operation across Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. We employed 240 people and pulled in $18 million in revenue last year. And Richard Morrison, the man my family desperately wanted to impress, had been collaborating with me for 8 months on a restaurant venture. We'd done a $250,000 exclusive catering contract for his hotels. The irony? We'd only communicated through his team and video calls. We'd never met face-to-face until this week, when he was flying to Boston not just for Daniel's party, but to present me with the Rising Star Award from the Culinary Federation of America at a gala with 300 industry leaders. The award specifically celebrated entrepreneurs who built their empires completely self-funded, without family money or connections. Everything I'd accomplished, I'd done invisible to my family while they dismissed me at every Sunday dinner. When I calmly told Mom I couldn't do it, she lost it. "You're so selfish, Sarah. This is Daniel's special moment. What's more important than family? Your little side job can wait." I could hear Daniel in the background saying, "Forget it, Mom. Sarah's never been reliable anyway." Mom gave me an ultimatum. "Do this or don't bother coming to Sunday dinners anymore." I said I was sorry, but I had a prior commitment I couldn't break. Then I hung up and went back to preparing for the gala that would change my entire career. The night of Daniel's party, I was at the Boston Harbor Hotel in a custom Armani gown, receiving my award in front of the entire culinary elite of the East Coast. Richard Morrison himself placed the crystal trophy in my hands and gave a speech about my extraordinary vision and work ethic. Meanwhile, according to what I learned later, my family's party was imploding. Morrison arrived at my parents' Brookline home expecting the elevated cuisine they'd promised from a top local caterer. Instead, he found grocery store sheet trays of mediocre appetizers my mom had panic-ordered from a budget catering company for $1,200, which she then tried to make look upscale with $3,000 worth of rental silver platters. Daniel, my mother, and Madison spent the entire evening making excuses and blaming me. I heard later that Mom actually told Morrison, "Our daughter is so unreliable. She runs a small catering business but couldn't even help her own brother. She's never been career-focused like Daniel." Morrison apparently smiled politely, ate nothing, and left after 40 minutes. 4 days later, I'm having lunch with Richard Morrison at Menton, going over details of our new restaurant partnership. He's laughing, telling me about the most awkward event he attended recently. "This family in Brookline," he said, "told me they'd hired a top caterer, and I show up to grocery store spanakopita and dried-out bruschetta. The whole night they're apologizing and trash-talking their own daughter, calling her a flake who couldn't make it in the real world." He shook his head. "They said her name was Sarah." He paused. "Wait, Sarah from Brookline. That wasn't your family, was it?" I tried to keep my face neutral, but he saw it. His jaw dropped. "You're kidding me. That was your brother's party? They were calling you unreliable while you were at the gala receiving the Rising Star Award?" He started laughing, this deep, disbelieving laugh. "Sarah, that's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. They have no idea what you've built, do they?" He leaned back, shaking his head. "Your own family called you a failure on the same night the industry crowned you one of its brightest stars. That's not just ironic. That's tragic." The next morning, Richard posted on Instagram a photo of us at the gala, me holding my award, with the caption, "Met the brilliant Sarah Matthews in person finally. 7 years building a 15-location empire with zero family money, pure grit and talent. This is what self-made looks like." He has 400,000 followers. The post went viral. My phone exploded. 63 missed calls from my mother, 41 from Daniel, 37 from my father. That afternoon, Boston Magazine dropped their feature story. I was on the cover. The headline read, "The Secret Success: How Sarah Matthews Built an $18 million Culinary Empire, While Her Family Thought She Was Playing with Food." The article detailed everything. The dismissal, the $200 birthday checks versus Daniel's BMW, the Olive Garden celebration, all of it. Meanwhile, Morrison's Instagram post had sparked a secondary viral story in Boston social circles about the disastrous engagement party. Within a week, my mother was asked to step down from 2 charity boards. Daniel's firm quietly passed him over for a partnership after Morrison, who sits on their advisory board, made his feelings known. The family that spent 15 years building their image on Daniel's mediocre accomplishments watched that image crumble because they couldn't see what was right in front of them. 6 months later, I agreed to meet them at a cafe in Cambridge. I brought a typed list: equal treatment and public acknowledgement of my achievements. Family therapy, all of us, weekly. Clear boundaries with consequences if broken. Mom cried reading it. Dad too. They agreed to everything. They started therapy. We're rebuilding, slowly, on my terms. But here's what I want you to hear. Your worth isn't determined by who sees it. Success doesn't need anyone's permission. I was invisible for 15 years, but I never stopped believing in myself. I built my empire quietly while being overlooked at every Sunday dinner. And when my success became undeniable, I didn't have to demand respect. It demanded respect for me. If you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, treated like you don't matter, leave a comment and let me know your story. Build anyway. Work anyway. Succeed anyway. Because the sweetest victory isn't revenge. It's becoming so undeniably successful that the truth speaks louder than you ever could. Thanks for watching.